Hello, Anthem fans, and welcome to Freelancer Radio, your home for all things Anthem. This is episode number 8, The Silence is Deafening. I'm your host, KJ. Let's check in with the rest of the crew. Marlon?
Good evening, guys. Hope everybody's doing good.
Andrew?
What's up, peoples?
And Justin. Okay, so we got kind of an interesting show tonight. Doing a little bit different than we've done in the past. There's been a lot of nothing coming out of Bioware. So, we're getting into some topics that definitely involve Bioware. They definitely involve Anthem and the future of Anthem. Mm-hmm. But it's not like specifically, this is what's new coming to Anthem, because honestly, there's none of that news out there. But we need to talk about the issues that surround the game as well as the issues of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that we definitely have a very good show for you. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to get into the update that came out just the other day. It was a really quick kind of hot fix. Marlon, can you go over the information on that hot fix, the patch notes, please?
By all means, KJ. So, Bioware updated their new update for 1.0.4.02, which is currently live across all platforms, so you can check it out yourselves if you want to, but I'll give you a rundown of some of the patch notes. So, number 1. Fix an issue that was causing loot to drop for javelins other than the one being used. Number 2, address a number of issues that could occasionally cause NVIDIA highlights to crash. Fix an issue that was causing Elysian cache items to not appear until completing another activity or restarting the game. The newsfeed will now properly show content again upon launching into the game. Thank God. Fix an issue that was causing Xerxes and Titans to not spawn as frequently in free play. Thank the Lord. Pissing me a lot. Fix an issue that will cause the screen to shake when enabling DLSS and turning off motion blur. Fix an issue that would sometimes cause players to not be able to interact with Owen or hear his audio at the end of the legendary version of the mission Finding Old Friends. And the last one, Titans, Xerxes, Luminaires, and Fury enemies should no longer disappear when another player starts an event in free play. Having said that, what do you guys see or feel about this little update for the patch notes?
Well, I think the major, a lot of it's quality of life stuff. Obviously, but I think the major things that come out of that is involving the Titans and the Xerxes.
Yeah. That for me, that was like the one. That
it's getting a little boring just fighting the same thing over and over again. You're like, man, where are the other enemies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are. It's not just the Titan and the Xerxes. It was kind of like all the big creatures that are out in the wild. And one of the things that I do have a little bit of a disagreement with the way that they've set up in free play is that, there's contracts that will periodically come up as you're flying around, but they're not as frequent as I would like them to be. It's not like I finish one and then immediately another one starts right back up. You're always kind of flying around searching for it in between. And those are kind of the times that you're running around finding other little enemies just to, do something, hopefully that you can get like another masterwork to drop or a legendary to drop or something like that. But we all know that the biggest chance of those types of items dropping is when we're running into Titans and Xerxes and things of that nature. So the fact that those weren't showing up very often, on top of the way that the events kind of play out in free play, made it feel like free play was getting real skinny to me. I don't know what you guys think. Andrew, what do you think about that, dude?
To be honest, man, I've barely been playing the game lately, but yeah, I would like, I guess, more free play events and stuff like that, man. I don't know. I feel like a lot of those monsters don't appear enough, and as good that they fixing that. Hold up here, I'm having some connection issues.
For the most part, I think for me, at least in my situation, I feel that the fact that they fixed both issues that was causing Uruxes and Titans to not spawn as frequently, and the fact that the Titans, the Uruxes, Liminers, and Fury enemies were disappearing when another player started an event in free play, I think that was, what was causing some of the issues, because if they're not appearing as frequently, and then you have this issue that players were basically, by instigating an event, were making them disappear, it was just reverberating the issues that the game already had as a whole. The fact that they fixed that, for me, that's good for them. I'm happy for that. But again, we get into this whole situation where they react for fixes. They're not proactive in making content for the game. They're just reacting to issues that the game keeps popping out left and right. Like, the fact that when we were talking about the other day that the javelins were getting loot drops from other javelins, we thought that they were, that it was intended. That the reason why they were doing this was for, to instigate you to play with your other javelins. We're finding out now that wasn't the case. That was not an intended feature of the game. So for me, it's like, okay, we're back to square one, where it's like we fix one thing, we break something else. That's just my whole opinion of the whole situation. I don't know what you feel.
It's definitely felt like that. I mean, it's felt like we get 5 fixes, and then we get 3 more things that mess up. I mean, I'm happy about the Elysium caches as well, with the fact that they're actually showing up after in the menu screen, and I can go immediately to the forge and I can see what I got. The problem is that at the end of the mission now, that's almost breaking, in a sense that sometimes it doesn't even give you the option to scroll through all of your rewards. You just have to skip everything, and then it goes straight to the end, which it then doesn't show you what you got in your Elysium caches. And then you have to go into your forge to find out whether you got a vinyl or you got an emote or something of that nature, which is fine. I'm glad that we're able to find them out immediately after. I don't have to shut the whole game down to go back into the game to find out what I got. I don't know if you remember that, Justin, but we had to do that with you the other night, where you were like, I didn't get anything. And I was like, yeah, just shut your game down and go back in, and then it'll pop up, and you ended up getting something. But
3 times. That thing happened to me 3 times. Really pissed me off.
Yeah, it was literally every day. I don't think I had a single day where it actually went the way that it was supposed to go. So so they fixed that, but now the screen where you're going through and you're receiving your experience points and all of that, for some reason that's breaking on me now, and I don't even get to go through all of that. It just basically does the pose at the end of the mission, and then it tells me to push on my center pad to skip everything, and that's the only option it gives me. It doesn't roll through anything more. So we're still in this mode where we're reactionary. The Bioware is basically fixing and then breaking something behind fixing something else, and they've got to get into a proactive mode with this stuff.
Here, let me give you a good example of fixing something and breaking something else. The storm's damage reduction, that is still not working. Okay? And the first patch was meant to fix that. It still hasn't been fixed. I mean, I play Storm. That's my main. That's the thing that I use. And when I saw that we're going to have damage reduction while hovering, I'm thinking, great, now I'll be able to do more, flying on the air, dealing with enemies, and just be more proactive on the air. I can't do that. I keep getting killed one-shotted like that because it doesn't really do anything for me when it comes to damage reduction. So I have to take away those inscriptions, get them off, and put something else that's more,
viable.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm doing anything. I'm just gonna get one-shotted left and right. I mean,
well, I will tell you, I saw something earlier today on that where they did say that has been fixed. It just wasn't rolled out in that last patch. So apparently, this next patch that's coming out, that we'll see something. I mean, honestly, I was hoping that there was going to be a live stream today that we'd have a whole bunch of information to talk to that was going to be great, brand new stuff and everything else. But we are now 3 weeks without a live stream, and they did make mention that they're hoping to have some information on that in the next few days. But that's literally all the information we got was that one-liner. I'm hoping to have information for you in the next few days. I get it. They're in a little bit of a
hunkering down.
I would assume probably a little bit of a panic.
Yeah.
Is it because of Jason Schreier?
I would say so. I mean, I think that's part of it. I think they were already in a bit of a panic before that, but the Schreier article didn't help anything. It helped to open our eyes to what was, going on
behind the scenes,
why the game was in the situation that it was in. But so far as from their perspective, it certainly didn't help BioWare any.
It just it basically put fuel onto that oil fire. That
I mean, right now, to be honest, it seems like I like Jason Schreier too because I haven't started reading anything of his until Gustavo introduced it. Some of his articles to me, but it looks like to me that he is attacking EA. I mean, I know he's not doing it on purpose, but there's another article that he just released for the Dragon Age reboot, and that did some damage too. So, you have a lot of reactive kind of, mentality going on over here.
Well, I mean, yeah, let's talk to that. We had Dragon Age. The last Dragon Age game came out, I think, in 2014, right? Mm-hmm. Then, it was pretty much a thing where we knew another Dragon Age was coming, but then we hear about a reboot of Dragon Age happening in early 2018. And then they tease something at the end of 2018, but I mean, that's gone dark too. And as we're reading the last Jason Schreier article, we're finding out that basically everything was put on hold because of Anthem. I guess my concern is if they can't pull this Anthem thing out over the next couple of months, does all of the resources that were involved with Anthem get pulled to go do Dragon Age and work on that instead of fixing, what I spent a lot of money on. I mean, at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, shoot.
It's honestly, if you, I think this is a situation where BioWare is basically being pulled in like 8 different directions. They have no idea where they want to go, and they have we're talking about this. There's lack of true leadership in that ship. You have different developers and different people of higher, respect in the company.
Don't say that now because they've corrected that. They brought Casey Hudson back, and Mark Dara has definitely stepped up in relation to, the way things are made things move in the right direction at the end of Anthem. But it just was too little, too late. Is what it came down to with that game.
But
You know,
the thing for me is like, okay, so Anthem may be saved by the end by Bioware Magic, but now we have all these issues with Dragon Age 4, and the reboot, which is probably
It's not. It wasn't
I'm worried.
saved.
No, dude, I'm worried it's the other way around. I'm worried that Dragon Age, whatever it's going to be,
take,
right, is going to end up taking all of the resources from Anthem, and then what we're going to end up with is something very similar to what happened with Mass Effect Andromeda, where it was supposed to be a game that was going to be supported for a while, and there was going to be other things that were coming out for it, and then all of a sudden it came to a screeching halt. I mean, I'm a big Bioware fan. I played Baldur's Gate back in the day, Knights of the Old Republic.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, I've played just about every game that these guys have put out, and they've always been games that have stood in my top 10 games of all times. I mean, it literally is just a list of a list of Bioware games is at least half of that.
But the thing is this, though. Then, okay, so let's say, for example, that like you say, that Dragon Age starts taking off, resources from Anthem, then we get into this whole discussion. Well, then who's gonna be taking care of Anthem? Is it gonna be solely the Austin team, as the Edmonton decides to go for Dragon Age and take away those resources from that, and does the Austin office for Bioware, does it have enough capability of being able to pull this Anthem situation out of the water?
Well, I think that was the original plan, is that the Austin team would strictly take over Anthem, and then, the other team would move on to the next game. But what's happened is in this whole, I don't know, you want to call it a struggle to fix and update and get out new patches quickly and everything else for Anthem, I think that it's definitely pulled resources. The problem, where I'm seeing the problem is that they're getting ready to potentially start getting out of the pre-development phase on a major working title coming up, and you've still got people pulled to address the issues that are going on with Anthem. What happens when those issues are not getting addressed? I mean, when you think about it, I mean, let's think back on other games that we played. Destiny 1, right? We had Destiny 1, everybody was upset, everybody was angry for a long time. People were starting to get to the point where they were, leaving the game in droves. What did Destiny do? They came out with the Taken King. Same thing happened with Destiny 2. Again, people were very upset about the way that game rolled out right from the beginning. They came out with the Forsaken update. These are major DLCs that were dropped on both of these games and totally turned around. Similar things happened with Diablo 3, and there's been other games in this same genre that have had similar effects. I think it was like patch 1.8 or something with Division 1. But these things were like turning points, and they were moments that were you could see the game pivot.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
I'm just worried that we're not seeing that. I mean, is that what this cataclysm that we're supposed to be getting? Is that supposed to be our pivot point? Because right now, and I'm sorry, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I just kind of took over the show or something. Here, but,
don't worry about it, Ketchup. You're
okay.
With
the cataclysm, right? I mean, you think about it. Are they behind the scenes scrambling to make content? We've got this cataclysm coming up. I mean, I'm still playing the game on a daily basis. I'm getting my Elysian caches. I'm doing legendary contracts. I'm doing legendary missions, whatever. Still trying to get my gear score all the way up to the highest level it possibly can be, because I'm like one legendary shy of doing that. And I don't know what I'm working towards.
It's the thing for me, though, is that, okay, do they have the manpower, the resources to be able to pull off a major DLC like Taken King, Rise of Iron, a major DLCs like the updates for Monster Hunter, the major DLCs for Dark Souls 3, and Dark Souls 2, is those type of things that can either make or break a video game. You know, let's take for example a video game that was supposed to have major DLCs, Final Fantasy 15. You know, we were supposed to have more DLCs, but they just didn't have the resource and the manpower to continue making those things. They basically canceled the last 2 DLCs that we were gonna get. You know, and if something like Square Enix has issues with that, you know, imagine something like Bioware that's just like right now dealing with a major, you know, not just a major development problem, but a major PR problem as well. Because as of right now, they're dealing with 2 fronts. They're dealing with fixing the game and fixing their image that has been tainted by Andromeda and by Anthem now. You know, they're battling a battle in 2 fronts that I don't know if they have the ability to be able to do all that and still come out with a big DLC, you know, production that like say, oh, Cataclysms, you know, this big DLC that's gonna bring this mode for all Anthem players. Do I want to see something like that? Of course I want to do it. Everybody wants this game to succeed, but if you cut off its wings right before takeoff, you're not gonna have an airplane that flies. You're gonna have an airplane that crashes and burns. That's just the nature of things. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, well, I actually do have I have a question, a direct question for Andrew. Did you play any of the Old Republic game that the Austin team had worked on? Have you ever played that?
I did not. I didn't have the, I guess,
He was too young.
the pleasure of playing that one. But to answer your question, Marlon, it's tough, man. Like I feel like Anthem is going to be almost put like on a back burner type thing. They're going to work on it and try to get his fixes out for those loyal fans out there. But I feel like to fix that the big blunders they've had lately, they have to have a knockout title, and I feel like I don't think that's going to be Anthem anymore. So maybe Dragon Age 4 or whatever else Bioware has in store. But I think to restore that image, I feel like it's going to have to be another game. You have something to say, Justin?
So I have like a little Destiny formula that they got going on here. So in Destiny 1, you know, the vanilla Destiny, at the end, everyone had something to grind for, which was the raid. You grind for the raid, and everybody was trying to get that raid-specific weapon, you know, the Vex Mytho class. Then if you didn't get it during the first, second, third, maybe even 15th attempt, you'd still keep going over and over and over again. Then the next DLC came out, which was Crota. You know, everyone grind for the new power. Everyone tried to go in and, you know, get the Black Hammer or whatever it was. There's something to grind towards and try to keep going to get. I didn't have Gallahorn. I didn't get Gallahorn until maybe House of Wolves, which in that case, House of Wolves came out after that. There was no raid, but they introduced this, you know, Prison of Elders, House of Wolves thing where there was no raid. There's nothing really to grind to, which is getting me to the point of where Destiny 2 is right now. So then after that, then Taken King comes out. You have something to grind to again. So it always seems like if you have these major content drops, something that where it's not just the same 4 players that are jumping in, doing the same strike over and over and over again, but when you have like a longer expanded, like, you know, mission to do, ergo a raid, you have something to grind to. You want that power. In this last one, the Forsaken for Destiny 2, 1,000 voices. Andrew's still yet to get 1,000 voices, and he's probably done that raid like 20 times. I'm not kidding. He has yet to get 1,000 voices, and at that point, it's just like, oh well, you know what? Forget it then. I mean, it's the big drops. It's the things you want to grind for.
I feel like I've mentioned this previously. I was like, there's no end game content that I'm like I want to take my gear to, or I need gear to be able to complete this. Right now, it's just the same missions on more with artificial difficulty added to it.
But the
Yeah,
thing
that's
is,
what I was
though,
saying earlier. Is that like I don't know what am I in
You
pursuit
see where
of?
they fail. The formula's there. The formula is obviously there. They just need to go and utilize it and put it in to the game.
Hey,
they
but Anthem
can't. They
Destiny
just
was
can't. They can't.
forbidden. Remember, it's just
They are not.
No,
We're
when
talking
you're
about
at this
Eagle
low,
system
Hold on,
here.
guys. One at a time. Everybody is so excited about this topic. Wow.
when you're at a low point like
Holy
this, when you're at a low point at like this, cut your losses and just do what you have to do to make it right. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares at this point? You have a, like you said, you're having this whole team. They're gonna probably be focusing on Dragon Age or another game that's coming out, which I'll probably mention in a couple minutes or whatever. You obviously see that they did that pre-development of Anthem. They were moving their sources all over the place. They brought in the Dragon Age writer to go ahead and write the story for Anthem, and then they had to redo the whole thing again. They have no problem moving, all these people around to make things happen or not.
Justin, part of that was the misdirection of management, and they've put new management in place to actually work against doing that further. So I think that there's definitely a plan in place, and I think the plan is that Austin was going to end up taking over and supplying Anthem with continuing content. But the problem is that they've been in just continual reaction mode with Anthem.
Exactly. I mean, look, you pull up the April update, it just says Cortex locked on 6 of the 12 items on there. Yeah. Like they're still lost. They're still at a misdirection right now. There's all I'm waiting for is a cataclysm. And you know what? To be honest, this cataclysm is gonna make or break the game personally for me. What is this cataclysm? What am I grinding for? If it's gonna be some superpower or whatever, maybe something that they add to the story that's interesting. Maybe another lost planet. I don't know. I don't care. This cataclysm has to be it. If it's not it, I think Anthem's.
I think it's gonna die off for a while.
Yeah, it's gonna overheat like my javelin hit the floor.
Here's the thing. Here's a bit of a little. I don't want to say theory, but just like a little thought or idea. I think what they really should do as of right now to do, I wouldn't say like a small update, because what I'm asking is not a small update, but present on the next live stream new weapons that are for Grandmaster 1, new weapons that are only for Grandmaster 2, new weapons that are only for Grandmaster 3, and make them tier weapons. Make them so that they're slightly overpowered. Because first of all, it's a player versus environment game, and it's not a PvP, so there's no need for, oh no, we have to balance everything out. I'm sorry, that doesn't work like that on a PvE game. Make them so that the players want to chase for these items. Put armor and weapons and vinyls that are Grandmaster 1, Grandmaster 2, Grandmaster 3. Make a difficulty that is higher, Grandmaster 4 for only the elite of the elite, with some shaders and stuff like that.
That's fine.
Make a golden carrot for the players to chase, and if you do that, the players will chase it.
Yeah, that's the formula that I'm talking about right now. Like I just mentioned,
that's the thing right they need, like something small, for then we can start saying, okay, listen, then we're gonna have that for Grandmaster 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna have the Cataclysm, which is gonna be this aspirational content that we've been talking about for the past year and a half now by this point. And I just
they even post a live stream though. That's the thing. We're like a dog at the front door waiting for its owner to come home, and they didn't come home. And that's the thing I was talking about right now. In Destiny 2, you have Season of the Drifter. There's no raid. Why am I grinding? Why am I doing this? Gambit's fun. Gambit's fun.
Justin, I think we lost you there, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we lost you big time.
You were like right in the moment too.
No, we lost you.
Anyways, you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
That put a little bit of bricks on you.
Go back to your rant and restart.
So look, in Destiny 2, Season of the Drifter, there's no raid. I can't grind for anything. Gambit's fun. It's not that fun, but it's fun. But yeah, it's not. I don't need 700 power level right now. I'm not grinding for 700 power level. However, in Division 2, I'm in World Tier 5 at 590, trying to get to the max power level so I can be ready for this 8-man raid on the 25th. That's it. That's what I'm grinding for right now in
You're
Division.
at
Trying to find the
490.
best
You're
weapon.
not at 590. Don't make yourself out to be like some superhero.
I'm like patting myself on the back right now. Just so all you listeners know, I've been playing Division. If you want, we'll go hit the Dark Stone. I get you some really good loot. Anyways, I digress. But like I was saying, this Cataclysm needs to hit it big. It needs to hit big hard. I don't know what EA's doing. I don't know who they're moving around, but they need to make it fast and before this thing goes down.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the other things to kind of bring up about this as well is, I mean, not that this is necessarily Bioware itself, Bioware proper, but we also have EA involved in this major Star Wars game that's coming up. Justin, I know you've done a little bit of looking around on this thing, and although it doesn't necessarily affect Bioware directly and their individual resources because they're not the ones that are putting the game out, but
Correct.
the resources coming from EA to continue to support that may have some effect on it as well, right?
So we know that EA and Respawn have put out a little bit of a tease that they are going to be revealing some of this Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game this Saturday, April 13th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Respawn, for those of you that don't know, are responsible for making Titanfall, Titanfall 2, and of course Apex Legends, which is making EA lots and lots of money right now. So you know that if EA is making lots of money from Apex Legends, and Respawn, obviously I think EA is gonna be 110% supporting Respawn right now. Maybe because of the engine that they'll be using for this. I don't even know what engine they're using for this. So maybe if you guys give me a moment, I can find out what it is. But I can guarantee you it's probably not Frostbite engine.
It will be ludicrous for them to be using Frostbite engine after this whole fiasco with Anthem. I mean, They could. It is an engine that EA built, but it really would be ludicrous for them to do that.
We'll see what happens this Saturday. But I mean, the stuff that I've seen on it is this is kind of set between, I think it's episode 2 and episode 3 and 4, maybe.
Yeah, it is
Fallen Order, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's between 3 and 4.
Yeah,
so it could be kind of interesting.
It follows a Padawan who basically survived the Order 66 massacre. So this is literally after Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
So is this just a reboot of The Force Unleashed? I mean, that's literally the storyline.
Lord.
He wasn't technically a Padawan, but he became Darth Vader's apprentice.
Hey, we can make a show about KJ not liking the last Star Wars movie. He can point out all the things that he did not like about it.
Stop.
Can we? I'll mention the whole Leia Mary Poppins moment.
Here's a little bit of a funny story for Star Wars. So I have a friend of mine, and he is a diehard Game of Thrones fan. He loves Game of Thrones. He doesn't like spoilers.
No spoilers.
I spoiled to him saying the game that the next season is about this, and I basically just spoil Star Wars Episode 3's last ending. So it's like, you spoiled that thing for me. It's like, it's Star Wars. I just literally told you the storyline of Star Wars. Go ahead. It's like, oh, well, I hate you. It's like,
oh my goodness.
And honestly, look, EA, and I can't believe I'm saying this. This has to work for them. The Star Wars they have to make this thing work, because if they don't, the Disney is going to be on their butts and they're not going to have fun with it. And moving away from Star Wars a little bit, do I think it's going to take resources away from them from Anthem? I that depends to be seen.
Well, I mean, it's going to be resources. It's not physical resources, but it's going to be financial.
Like manpower and stuff like that, you know? Like, it could be like that, you know? You can have people that have been working... If they're working with the same engine that Anthem is working...
Well, okay. I mean, yeah, the support team at EA working with, you know, the engine and everything like that. Yeah, there could be some pull, but Anthem's already dealt with that in regards to FIFA and some of the other games that EA supports. I think, if anything, if it pulls resources from doing something with Anthem, I think it's really going to end up being a financial resource and the financial support of ongoing operations and continuing a perpetuation of a game that currently is struggling in in ways. But I mean,
it's just
so there's the potential
Unreal for 4, just to let you know, okay?
Oh, Unreal. Yeah, see, there you go. I was looking at it right now.
It's the same
so
thing
there's
that Apex Legends is using, so thank God.
There's a potential for a bit of a perfect storm going on here with Anthem, and that's what concerns me. Is we have, you know, Star Wars, which could potentially pull financial resources away from Anthem, and then you also have Dragon Age, which could actually pull physical resources of programmers and developers and everything from Anthem. So both of those definitely concern me for the future of Anthem.
Which basically would explain the reasoning why they're being so quiet. You know, they probably are in like hunkering down mode, trying to get everything done.
I'm really hoping that the reason that they're being so quiet is because they're going to wow us with something, and it's a build up to. I mean, I would have really hoped that they would at least have hinted something. You know, that was one of the. You know, I hate to keep going back to Destiny, but the fact is that there are some definite things that they do very right over there. And one of the things that they do is that they're always dropping little hints along
teasers.
The way. Yeah.
For what the next content will be, yeah.
Of what's going on. And I feel like with Anthem, we're constantly like we're pulling teeth to get information on what it is. And
it's good. They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they don't know what it is. I just don't know. I just don't think they know how to get there. You know, it's you could tell me, hey, listen, I know how to get across the pond, but if I don't have a boat, you have a couple of options. You can swim, but it's infested with sharks. You decide how you're gonna go about it. You know, and I think they're in that situation where they know what they want to do with the game. They know what they want to accomplish. I just don't think they know how to do it effectively, you know, with the issues they've been having.
Yeah, but they were able to do it years ago. They were so successful years ago. Look at all the Mass Effects.
A lot of the developers that were working for Bioware left, you know.
Yeah.
We're talking about good game developers that knew how to basically work with crunch time and fix things, you know. When you have new people coming in, they may be as good as the people that left, but they may not be as adaptable or being able to deal with that type of crunch time as well as the other people, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, that's all. I mean, and we've done a lot of it tonight. There's been a lot of speculation.
Yeah, that's
the
word.
I mean, really, the end of the day, I mean, at this point, they've said that they're going to continue to support Anthem. They've mentioned on many occasions that there's a 10-year plan for the game. Hopefully, if they're saying that there's a 10-year plan, they have at least some direction that they're planning on going with it for the next 10 years, even if it's just a rough outline, right? And yeah, I mean, could be a very rough outline, but I mean, hopefully, I'm looking for something big coming next week. I mean, Jesse, community manager, said today that he's hoping to have some information out to us in the next few days about the next live stream. I'm hoping what that means is that we'll probably get something around Friday. It'll give us the weekend where people will do some speculation as to what's coming up. Most likely that live stream will drop next Wednesday. So it'll be a full month since the last live stream. And we'll finally get some new information. Hopefully this content drop. I don't know whether they're considering a patch, if it's the April update, whatever it is, whatever they're considering I'm hoping that it's a lot bigger than what we've seen in the past, because everything that we've seen in the past has really been just a fix. And I know we're supposed to get this new stronghold, the sunken.
Yeah. And
so that's exciting, but still you give me, okay, so this is my whole thing with this. So we're getting the sunken. It's this new stronghold, and let's just say that they finally fixed the legendary loot drops. Okay, great. But I still don't know what I'm working towards. So I'm really hoping that if they're going to, in this live stream, produce information regarding the sunken and show that off a little bit, that they at least give us a lead into what the next step is, the cataclysm coming in the following month, because I got to be gearing up for a reason at this point.
Yeah.
And I still get on, I still play every night. I still have a good time. I still think it's, some of the best gameplay around when you're physically trying to play the game. But we're at a lack of content at this point. And it's kind of like one of those times where we've all been in it with Destiny or another game where you're kind of going, okay, I've done everything I need to do for the week, and I think I'm going to shut it off.
That was me with Diablo 3. That was literally me playing with my Demon Hunter. There was, I want to say maybe 3 months of where I was just playing with my Demon Hunter, trying to get as high as I could in the Nephilim Rifts. And it was a point where I just hit like a brick wall. There was nothing for me to do in the game besides just running Nephilim Rifts that I wasn't getting new weapons, I wasn't getting new builds. It was just, I have gotten everything that I could possibly get in this game, and there was no incentive for me to keep going other than playing a new character. But even then, it's just going to be more of the same. And
I mean, I can't expect any games to have like unlimited content.
I know.
I don't expect any of that from any game. Even
but
Anthem.
I expect
but
it to
Anthem
have
is still lacking. It's lacking like an end game content, to be honest. Right now, they're giving you, I would say, what like is equivalent to a Destiny Strike in a stronghold, and you only have 3 of those, with one more coming out how many months after release?
Yeah.
So a total of 4. Let's say strikes, and then you have different tier difficulties on them. But there's still no raid like content. There's that final big challenge that you need like to be real geared up for, and like the Cataclysm needs to be something like that. And I really hope it's not like a limited time event either. I hope it lasts for, I don't know, maybe it's a permanent in-game thing or something like that. But they need to knock it out of the park with that one. The small gameplay loop of the game is good, man. They have the blocks there. They need to put more in the game.
To polish it, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's really coming down to where are they expanding upon the current stuff. One of the things that excuse me, one of the things that's a little bit of an aggravation as well with the game right now is that if you are wanting to grind, you grind in GM1 because it's easier and quicker to get through the GM1 stronghold. So what's the use in a GM2, GM3 right now, other than bragging rights that you actually completed one of them? I mean, I've completed all the way up through a GM3 stronghold at this point, but I don't regularly go into the game and jump into a GM3 stronghold because there's no, I mean, I've completed a GM3 stronghold and gotten, 1 or 2 masterworks out of it. I can get that in a GM1, and I can do, 3 or 4 GM1s in the same time that it takes me to complete 1 GM3. So if I really want to earn the masterworks or the legendaries or whatever, then I might as well just run a whole bunch of GM1s because it's going to happen a lot quicker, a lot faster. So that's one of the other things that's the GM2, GM3 just does not have the loot to support playing it at this point. So something's got to happen with those things as well. We've got to have loot that is sufficient for the work that you put into it. And, I've even seen developers for the game make comments about it. So I think that's telling of itself, you know?
When the people that are working on the game are basically telling you, yeah, there's issues here. When even they are saying, yeah, we know that this is not how we wanted the game to be, and we know that you guys are mad about it, but we're trying to fix it. But at some point, trying to fix it and fixing it are two totally different things. Stepping back a little bit from the whole Anthem issues and all that, because we know we've been talking to death about this. I just wanted to just pivot a little bit and just talk about what would you like to see for the Cataclysm content. Like for you personally, for the three of you guys, what would you like to see? Personally, I would prefer to see more, unique weapons and stuff like that. What about you, Justin?
Here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see those what are those called? The glowing things in the air.
The orbs.
The orbs. I don't want a section to come up if this raid. If this Cataclysm is anything like the regular strikes or strongholds that are in the game right now that have the same components in there, just all wrapped up into one big one, that's what I don't want to see. I need something new. I need like another, javelin, an anti-javelin guy chasing me down. Like we have to run through or fly through, some major tunnels or whatever and get away. I can't just be collecting orbs. You gotta collect 12 orbs in the sky to make it to the next step. And then you got another little horde mode section, and then bugs are
capture the defender's point, or
and then release the prisoners from the prison. I don't want to see that again. Once this Cataclysm releases, can't have any of that. That's too much rinse and repeat.
Okay. What about you, Justin? I mean, what about you, Andrew? What you would like to see?
I think Justin pretty much nailed it right there. I mean, something new. I mean, something we haven't seen yet. My fear though is just Bioware working with what's it called? Frostbite?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Frostbite. My fear is just that is not a fast enough tool for them limited. I don't feel like within the time of, I guess they're working in now until the Cataclysm, I don't feel like that's enough time for them to not like impress everybody. I almost feel like it's going to be a bunch of little stuff until like a big fall update or something like that, or maybe Act 2 would have a big update, or Act 3 or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't see anything happening in Act 1, which I think ends with the Cataclysm. I don't see anything major changing in the game.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see any. I think I totally agree with Andrew. There's different aspects that they definitely could put into a raid-like function in the game, but I think they're going to end up having to work within the functions that are already available in the game in order to accomplish whatever that is. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that you can't work within existing systems and create something different. If you think about it, right, one of the aspects of the system itself is the fact that you pick up things and you bring them to another place at times, and then you have to put them in place, right? Well, if it was something to that effect, where we've done something in other raids before with other games where a certain person has to pick it up, and then that person can't pick up another one until everybody else has had their turn of delivering a part or piece to a certain location. And obviously, those are things in raid situations. A lot of times that's something that you don't necessarily figure out until you're in the midst of it. And the guy goes to pick up the second item and he automatically dies because he picked it up, or something like that. There's been different aspects of different raids that we've played in the past that would definitely work within existing systems. Sure, we've had to hold control points. You could definitely do some kind of racing or, shooting down through tunnels. I mean, obviously, if you think about it, in the Tyrant Mine, that's a good portion of some of the gameplay that we do currently is we're flying in the midst of a whole bunch of tunnels. At the very beginning, you've got all the landmines across the ground, so you have to fly. And you're moving very quickly, and you've got to be able to shift and turn very quickly through those tunnels. If you hit a wall, obviously you fall, then the landmines go off. So there's definitely some different aspects. Now, if they put, a tyrant giant spider chasing behind you, in something like that, I mean, that would add a whole nother aspect, but still work within what's currently existing in the game. So there's definitely ways that they can do it. They've just got to put it together. But honestly, I mean, I don't even know what the Cataclysm is. And I think that's part of my concern with it is that
you know nothing about it.
I know nothing about it. I mean, even when we saw, the teaser of the Cataclysm on the E3 trailer, it just looked like a giant thunderstorm to me. And I kept thinking to myself, that visually looks very cool for an E3 trailer. But what does that mean to me as somebody playing this game? Because certainly I'm not going to go fight a thunderstorm. There's got to be some aspect to the thunderstorm, right?
It's going to be a battle royale.
I mean, I'm not going in to fight lightning. That just doesn't, that wouldn't make any kind of sense at all. So there's got to be something more to it. And the fact is we haven't even had a teaser as to what that is. So I don't really know what a Cataclysm is.
I think honestly. what I believe that they should do, and you guys have had wonderful ideas, and I love every single one of them. For me personally, a horror mode would be awesome. Like, 4 players stuck in an arena, and you have this massive waves of enemies just coming at you, and the higher tiers you go into the Colosseum or what have you, you get better rewards. A new way of
I hope that's not a Cataclysm though. That needs to be just another thing in the game.
That's just a mode. Cataclysm for me will be large enemies, dragons. Basically the relics have created this this mutations on the Titans that have made them like this huge hunkering beast of dragons and colossus, and that's where you see the lightning. That's where you see the volcanoes erupting and stuff like that. You're dealing with a planet-size cataclysm, not a confined relic that, for the most part, the game just makes it seem like it makes it seem like it's this big thing that affects the world, but let's face it, it's literally a very confined space when it comes to the relics, and to the catastrophes as they're calling it, but we haven't seen something major in the game. We've seen instances of like a Titan, some Orcs and stuff like that, but nothing that makes you go, holy moly, that type of thing,
Man, I thought we were about to have a timestamp there, that's for sure.
No, I'm not like Justin over here.
I know. I have yet to swear on this.
Yes,
I have yet to swear.
You'll be surprised.
I have a clean record.
No, you don't. You definitely don't.
I have a clean record
on this show.
I kiss my mother with this mouth, unlike you.
So one of the other things, hold on one second, dude. One of the other things we wanted to discuss is there was another article that came out today on Polygon, And I thought it was really interesting. It's why the combat in Anthem feels so damn good. And this was actually written by a game designer. And Jennifer, gosh, I'm definitely going to murder this last name. And I feel horrible because everybody always messes up my last name. But it's like Schruler or I'm sorry, Jennifer, I'm messing up your name. So, but she was going into some of the different aspects of the game itself and why
Jennifer
they
Shirley.
were so. Is that Shirley?
Yeah, Shirley.
Shirley? That's a very interesting way of saying that. Okay, or spelling.
Shirley, you want to go for it,
But she goes into some of the sound design. She goes into, just the animation of slipping into the javelin. The sound effects that go along with that, and how that all comes together, and the feeling of getting into the javelin, how you really do feel like you're getting in. She talks about how the combat movement is so fluid, and everything just kind of works together so well. One of the things that she mentions in this, and it's really neat, she even puts together some diagrams on this, was how difficult it is for the game designer to work spatially. And that's one of the things that Anthem does so good is, when you're doing a three-dimensional game and you're moving forward, back, up, down, left, right, whatever, because you're doing a jump, that's fine. But now when you take the aspect that you're actually floating in the air or you're underwater and floating in the water, that really puts a whole different dynamic to the way things work surrounding it. And I thought that was, a really interesting take on how things work in this game and what Anthem has done so good.
Let's face it. The thing that people keep coming back for Anthem is the same thing that people keep coming back for Destiny, is the gameplay. It feels solid. It feels like there's no gimmicks that you have to, jump through, or some hurdles to play the game. No, they're right from the get-go. It always feels, snappy, clean. It always feels like you're in complete control of the javelin, even though Justin keeps saying that you don't control the javelin. But you do. You have full control over how you want to go about a situation. Do you want to jump? Do you want to hover? Do you want to just move out of the way quickly? Do you want to just fly around and just enjoy the environment? The way that the javelins themselves play out, work, and the way that the game is designed when it comes to just gameplay mechanics, it feels solid. It doesn't feel clunky like Mass Effect Andromeda used to feel. It doesn't feel clunky like Sekiro feels at times, But I enjoy
disagree
it
completely.
No, you may disagree with that, but the camera doesn't really help you out in Sekiro. Okay, the camera doesn't help out. You don't have that problem in Anthem. Okay. You have complete control.
Monster Hunter, I know that's one of your your games, Marlon, but Monster Hunter, that's one of the things that I had such an aggravation with Monster Hunter is I wanted it to do something and I would do the motion or whatever to do it, and then
it took like a long time to do it.
It was like this
molasses
okay,
thing.
like I felt like I was putting in a code. Yeah. And then he would do it, and that's just what got me off of Monster Hunter, because it was just like the reaction time of things actually moving in the amount of time that I needed them to do the action that I was inputting, it just wasn't happening. And I could never get my head wrapped around how that all worked. And I don't know, maybe that's just me. And I know you and Andrew have been playing Sekiro as well, and that seems like that has some of those aspects to it. I don't know. You guys would have to tell me. Is it like that where you're?
I'll let Andrew talk about this a little bit.
I feel like it's very, very snappy, very reactive to how you play.
Yeah.
I guess Marlon's having troubles with the camera, but I haven't really had those issues.
It's
I guess maybe if you're like backed up in a corner or something,
Yeah,
you're locked on, then
yeah.
yeah. But you're not supposed to be backed up in the corner in the game.
There's so many
be
areas in the
very
game
aggressive.
there's so many areas in the
Anyways.
game that does that for me. But I digress. That you're right, KJ. Like the Jennifer Sherrill basically said it correctly. You know, there's a lot of movement in the game that you normally don't get in video games. You know, you usually most of the time you're just going up and down, left and right. This is you heave, you roll, you sway, you surge, you do a pitch, you basically doing maneuvers that airplanes do.
Yeah.
And not a lot of games do that correctly. You know.
So what they need to do is, I mean, honestly, is I'm reading through her article, and what keeps just
Popping
running
up.
around in the back of my head is, okay, these are all the great points about Anthem. Now they need to take those things and apply those in the Cataclysm. Like, what can you do? Like, Anthem has all this great combat movement that's a part of it, right? And you don't have to hide behind stuff, right, Justin? Like, you don't need to hide behind anything in this game.
I need my cover system. Just in the Cataclysm, they need to put the cover system in there.
Oh,
That's what they need.
God.
There's no cover system
Oh,
in the Cataclysm.
Lord.
But anyway, I digress. But what I'm saying is, these are all the great things that are amazing with this game, and these are all the things that they should be building upon. And they need to take this to heart. And I know they're reading it because several of the developers have tweeted this out today, right? So they're definitely reading this article. And it's great because it does highlight all the good things about Anthem. And sometimes we lose sight of, because there's so much negativity going on. I think, Marlon, you brought up earlier the Joe Rogan, Kevin Hart interview, where, Kevin Hart basically just says, it's cool to be negative, to be a hater, right? And and I feel like sometimes this world tends to go in that direction. But I mean, this article itself really
just highlights the fact that
just highlights all the good parts,
that
and
Anthem has, and I mean, I'm looking at this article, I'm looking at the flying mechanics that you see with the interceptor and stuff like that, and I would love a flying mission where you see like this wyverns and a dragon is flying with you, and you're trying to evade it, and you're basically just trying to get from point to basically take down this thing in midair, things like that, like that explores the ability that you are not just a javelin that are always on the ground, but you have this huge open space up in the air that you can do many things, and my God.
So how cool would it be if, like, the floor just dropped out. There was no floor. So if you hit a certain point, you went too low, like your guy just kind of fell into the abyss, right? Yeah. So you have to stay flying the whole time over certain expanses. And as you're flying through those, like you said, there's air combat battles or something else that's going on. There's all working within the mechanics of the current system.
Yeah.
But still being able to bring a new element to the game. So I'm really hoping that these type of things are what's, brought into the Cataclysm. I'm really happy that somebody did highlight a lot of these things. And honestly, it's not just for the sake of the community, but for the sake of myself, because, the last two podcasts, I've gotten a little bit more negative in regards to my view and my approach to what's going on with Anthem. And the last thing I want to do is just kind of fall into a rut where I'm being constantly negative. I mean, other podcasts have completely fallen apart at this point in regards to Anthem. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Freelancer Chat totally changed their name this week to, I want to say it was like loot boxes or something like that. Now they're going to cover all kinds of different stuff. And there's some major names that are involved with that one. I mean, you've got 3 guys that, are fairly well known. You got Dantix and Eric's and Destin all working on that. And, that their original idea with that, which was a show to cover just Anthem, has completely fallen apart. And honestly, part of that I got to put on Destin. I mean, because he's kind of running the whole thing. Mm-hmm. He was phoning it in for a couple of weeks there anyway. I mean, he wasn't even really playing the game and didn't have any knowledge in regards to the game other than what he's reading. And if you're not going to play the game, regardless of the fact, you can't really do a show if you're not going to play it. So and that's pretty much what he said and why they decided to change the format of the show.
And I got no problem with that. It's just like if you feel that you are not going to give it 100%, if you feel that you could, your talents and skills are better suited for another thing or another type of podcast, I'm fine with that. If they wanted to go that direction, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I just think that you should be honest about what you wanted to do in the first place. Do you want to create Anthem Freelancer Radio for yourself? Do you want to create the podcast to listen to your viewers? Do you want to create the podcast to just share your stories, how much you love this game and how much you appreciate the way that Bioware created this game? Or do you want it to just make it a Destiny Fire Chat clone? That's the things that I saw with Destin, and I'm happy that they're moving away from Anthem podcasting, mainly because for
that's
me,
competition.
Competition for us. That's the way I see it. Okay.
Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, we kind of made an agreement from the very beginning that we were going to stick this out. This was going to be a Anthem only podcast. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like we're bringing good content to our viewers, and we're trying to make sure that we give them the most updated news and information. Unfortunately, this week, there really wasn't too much to put forward so far as new items that were specific to Anthem. Now, obviously, we've been able to talk about some things that, worked that are going on in the world that revolve around the topic of Anthem. They definitely have their ties to Anthem. They definitely bring up concerns in regards to Anthem. There just weren't we were really hoping, honestly, to bring some updates to everybody this week, and we just did not have the ability to do that because they're just not there. I'm hoping that we start to hear a little bit of the rumblings come Friday, and then we'll have a good idea of a live stream sometime next week. The developers have been silent. I mean, they're posting about other things. I mean, I've got posts about, Star Wars Celebration. I've seen posts about, some band that they like. I've seen posts about, all kinds of different other things. But so far as anything directly involved with Anthem, other than somebody showing off their Javelin builds, I really haven't seen anything too much. There was a pretty funny cosplay where one of the sound designers had dressed up like a Grabbit. She had a costume made for herself, and she was dressed like a Grabbit, and she was running around the offices the other day. That was pretty funny, but it doesn't answer the questions that I'm looking to see from the developers at this point. I think that's pretty much the state of our week. Yeah. So
the state of play, as Sony would put it.
Yeah, it's the state of the play today. So, hopefully we have a lot of good information this upcoming week. We're able to bring it to everybody. We appreciate your time. Please follow, listen, like, share, subscribe. You can find us at at Instagram at A Freelancer Radio, and you can find us at Twitter at Freelancer RADI1 on Twitter, because they didn't want to give us the O. Yep. So that's where we're at Twitter. So please follow us at both of those locations. You can always find us on Facebook and podcast. Of course, we'd love to hear your feedback on the shows. We love the fact that we continue to increase viewership every week exponentially, and it's been very exciting for us. So
it has, honestly.
We do appreciate it. Justin, you got anything else you want to share for this week?
Find me on Division.
Find Justin on Division. That's where he's going to be probably for the rest of the week. Andrew, you got anything you want to share for this week?
I'm good.
Andrew's good. Marlon, you got anything else?
Just wanted to thank everyone that's been following us for the past couple of weeks. It's been an amazing experience, and honestly, I think if you always should strive to be happy regardless of what you do in life. It always try to be positive. Just because somebody's being negative to you, just because you feel like something that's cool to them, that's you're never gonna get in life with negativity. Just try to be positive and just always have a good message about it.
That's what he tells himself when he's playing Sekiro.
That's pretty much it.
Just be positive, Marlon. Be positive. You're gonna beat this boss.
You have no idea. Like for me, I'll give you a bit of example. When I beat Lady Butterfly, you guys seen the video that is not meant for kids, that is not safe for work, but this was going in the back of my mind when I finally beat her. I was so happy.
He's been waiting all day to bring those sounds into this show. Oh my goodness! He's just been waiting for a moment.
I know.
To bring that in.
But
all right, well, that's all the time we have. Hey, that's all the time we have for today. So let's suit up and hit the high road. Strong alone, stronger together. Freelancers,
roll out.
Get ready. 3, 2, 1.